The Northern Kentucky real estate market crashed in 2023. It just wasn't the crash that some people were waiting for. It wasn't a crash with prices. Prices actually went up. It was a crash in overall sales. 2023 was the least amount of real estate transactions that's occurred in a one-year period since 2012. So in today's video, I'm going to break down what happened in 2023 in a year where we actually saw almost 6% appreciation in a market with so much uncertainty that I know some people thought that home prices were actually going to go down. And I'm also going to point out some opportunities that I see for sellers and buyers in the 2024 market. My name's Cameron with the Berens team, your Northern Kentucky real estate agents. And throughout this video, if you have any questions about buying, selling, building, investing, or relocating in the Northern Kentucky area, I'll put our contact information on the screen here. Don't hesitate to reach out. With that said, sit back, relax, and let's go ahead and take a look at how 2023 played out here in Northern Kentucky for real estate and some opportunities in 2024. All right, let's kick things off talking about where the real estate market in Northern Kentucky, quote unquote, crashed. And unfortunately, for those of you that are hoping it's going to be in prices, it wasn't. It was in overall home sales. In 2023, we finished with 5,814 homes sold, comparing that to 2022, where we finished at 6,946 homes sold. So that's almost a 20% decrease in overall homes sold. And I know some people are thinking with the rates going up that home prices were going to come down. Well, this is why they didn't. There were less homes on the market, so that kept supply low when demand stayed pretty steady. Something else that I wanted to point out is we haven't been lower than this amount of homes sold since 2012 when we were at 5,044, and then things shot up the next year to almost 6,000. So this is the lowest amount of homes sold that we've seen in Northern Kentucky in over a decade. All right, next up, home appreciation or average sales price. In 2023, we finished with an average sales price of $309,771. Compare that to 2022, where we finished at $292,775. So almost a $17,000 increase, or 5.8% appreciation. And for historical references in Northern Kentucky, we typically have 3% on average year over year appreciation. So we still almost doubled the historical average. And I know to some people in the conversations we've been having is it doesn't feel like home appreciation is going up as much. But that's because I think we're still experiencing a little bit of a COVID era real estate hangover where we saw 10 up to 15% appreciation year over year. So 6% feels like nothing compared to 15%, but in fact, it is double the historical average. And something else you want to consider as well is, where do you fall on this average sales price spectrum? Are you below the average sales price with your home's value? If so, you probably reap the rewards of appreciation a little bit more than a home that's above the average sales price, because supply, demand, where new construction's being built, as we know here in Northern Kentucky, there's a lot of new construction happening and it's all above that average price point. One last thing I wanted to point out is the days on market. I think a lot of people find it a little interesting to see that average days on market is increased from 24 days to 31 days year over year. And typically when you think average days on market increasing, you think home prices must be coming down, right? If they're having to sit on the market longer. And we did see some of the most amount of price reductions that we've seen in probably a decade last year. Reason being is not because home prices went down. As we can see, the average went up almost 6%. The reason is a lot of people started off a little bit too high and had to do reductions, probably because, as I mentioned, with that COVID era real estate hangover, people thought, hey, my neighbor sold for 400, I'll throw mine on the market for 425 and see what happens, and had to come back down to reality until they got closer to where real estate prices are. And something else that I thought was fun to do was take a stroll down average sales price memory lane here in Northern Kentucky, starting back at 2019, where the average sales price was $207,478. Going through each year, bringing us to current, where we're at $309,771. So over $100,000 increase in 5 years in the average sales price. And then one last thing I wanted to look at was, how far do I have to go back to where the average sales price has actually doubled since then? And if we look back at 2013, the average sales price was $151,140, which we have over doubled since then for our average sales price here in Northern Kentucky. So looking forward into 2024, if you're someone that's thinking about buying or selling, and what should you do? Well, the answer obviously is it depends. But it's looking like, to me at least, that yes, rates are going down. How quickly will they go down is anyone's guess, and I don't foresee it being quickly. But at least we're not seeing them in that continued upward trajectory that we were seeing in the past couple years. So for buyers out there, this could be, say, a 90-day window that you can enter the market, have a little less competition, maybe get some closing costs covered, a little bit off the list price, and rates are still lower than they've been for most of last year before, as predicted, rates go down again this year. Because if they do, that's going to bring more buyers into the market, which is going to create more competition and increase prices. But as I mention all the time, if you don't think you're going to be in that home for at least the next 5 years, I would probably reevaluate your situation and make sure that buying that home is right for you. And to the potential sellers out there, you just need to be completely realistic with your expectations. This isn't the market that we were in a couple years ago where you could just slap any price on there and someone was going to bring you an offer. Buyers are more cautious than ever right now. They still want to buy a home, but they're not going to have these unrealistic expectations of getting in these bidding wars and paying $10,000, $15,000 over list price anymore. So as long as you price correctly, you'll still get top dollar for your home. But if you overprice, we are seeing people have to do price reductions, which statistically is going to get you less for the home. So pricing is more important than ever. And then the other factor that can really make a difference is rates. If rates go as predicted, or if they go a little more, then we'll probably see things heat up even more if rates go down more than what people are predicting. But if they stay on track for what everyone's thinking, the market in 2024 shouldn't be too terribly different than 2023. We should see some more home sales and probably appreciation, but it's not going to be anything too terribly different. And if anything, we'll probably stay around that same appreciation. And that's actually a sign of relief. I personally think we need to get back down below that 5% appreciation. I know as a real estate agent, why would I say that? But because I'm rooting for a healthy real estate market. I don't like when it swings over to the buyers and swings over to the sellers. That causes the mayhem. When we stay at that 3-4% appreciation is when things are a little bit more balanced for everyone. All right, so I hope this brought you some clarity on how we got to where we are currently in the Northern Kentucky real estate market, looking back at 2023, some insight on what to expect in 2024. If you're thinking about buying or selling or making a move and want to deep dive into your specific situation, I'll put our contact information on the screen here. Please don't hesitate to reach out, and I look forward to talking to you soon.